Welcome to Politics
Well,
Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world, and good morning to every corner, every crevice where our 100,000 watt transmitter gets its signal to permeate to your radios for those who still use radios. And those of you on the internet throughout the world, welcome to Politics Done Right. We have a great show for you as usual. But before we get started, of course, we cede to the geniuses in the studio. Buenos dias, mi hermanos.
and good morning, Egberto. We're making Harry happy this morning because we played Peace on Earth from Paul Hardcastle. That's one of his requests. He says, "Oh, yeah, one of his thousands of requests every day." So I think he would be very happy if we just flipped the format to smooth jazz. Of course, I would be happy too, but that's aside from the fact. I'm not going to take up much time. I have no rants this morning, but Jack has some wisdom for us.
All right. Yeah. Good morning, Egberto.
Buenos dias, Jack. Talk to me.
Well, this is going to be about guns.
Oh boy.
We hadn't talked about them in a while. Uh, Guns. Why has America been flooded with guns? In other countries, when they saturate the populace with guns, it means they want to divide the people over some issue and set them to fighting. Open carry is a provocative policy meant to provoke the people into a more violent society. Mass shootings are so prevalent, people hardly notice them anymore. We are being desensitized to violence, so we will fight amongst ourselves and they will profit.
Well, just remember, politicians, that gun thing works both ways.
Live by the gun, die by the gun.
Well, yeah, I just have a BB gun at my house. So that's all I can tell you. All right,
All right, that was it.
I
back to you,
love it.
Egberto, for a
You
very
know what
great
is
show.
interesting? As you were talking, I kept on thinking, why, how we bring guns into the fold, all that kind of stuff. And I recall from yesterday that we had an undocumented immigrant who, I mean, it is clear that these brothers in from Venezuela, they were criminals. I mean, that was clear. And one committed a murder. One is, they're doing green card fraud, etc. So, these guys got in, and that happens all of the times, right? And they, uh, the right has been very effective in taking these isolated incidents. We had the one in New York where these thugs from another country pushed down a cop and that sort of thing. So I mean, I think there are about four incidents that the right has really blown up to show that how bad these illegals that are coming in are, which isn't at all representative of what's occurring. Yeah, a lot of people are coming over the border. As usual, we have the right who just look at the surface as to the border is uncontrolled and it's the end of the world and we need to get punitive. And then you have the Democrats who don't have a clue how to really express the realities of what's occurring at the border, and so in a lot of ways they just dodge the subject. So neither side is playing the thing very well, right?
Right.
But
Well, that's what they do. What they don't do, they don't explain it to us. They take these incidences, like you said, and blow them out of proportion and say, "We see there, they're all bad. They're all coming across the border. They're all going to kill you in your sleep." It
mhm,
reminds me of the 1950s with the communist thing.
right.
Where's what's his Joe?
McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy. Where's Joe McCarthy when you need him? Because he'd be very effective on this one.
No kidding. But I brought this all up to tie in with what brother Jacques had to say when he talks about guns, right? Because here we are. First of all, we have in this country a gun problem as well, right? But let's look at the problem we have with immigration, which is it is a serious problem because it's uncontrolled. It gives fairly uncontrolled. It gives the red state governors the ability to bloviate and send people to the blue states and create havoc because it doesn't only show havoc, it allows them to create false narratives. When these people land in New York or Chicago or Miami or wherever it is that these red state governors send them, what happens then is we do the humanitarian things. We take care of these folks, and then for taking care of these folks, what the right does as well then is to look at the indigent and the poor in those cities and say, you see, they're taking care of those illegals, but they're not taking care of you, right? And then that creates the animosity between these people that hadn't gotten a good break here in America, born American citizens that hadn't got a break. These are the folks that come over the border that are getting the humane things taken care of, while at the same time, the right is, whenever the left tries to say we need to help everybody in the country, the indigent, the poor, the mother who can't afford to put her kids in daycare, etc., the right is the one that prevents those bills from being passed. And then you give humanitarian aids to human beings, and that's a problem as well. But tying it into Jack, we have a gun problem, and the ones perpetrating these gun issues are, in fact, we the people, Americans. We're the ones using these guns, and in the city, annihilating each other. We have the mass murderers, we have the gang members, all using guns that they don't produce. Somebody who making the profit, as Jack puts it, is the one who produced these drugs of mass killing that be guns. And then they bring the fentanyl issue in and say, oh, and those immigrants are bringing the fentanyl. Of course, drug companies make the precursors and the chemicals to do all these things, and they continue to profit as people kill themselves selling these drugs, etc. And as usual, we just go after the little man, the measly guy trying to survive. The measly guy who takes fentanyl to get rid of the pain of living in a country or living in a world that hasn't been so kind to them. I mean, we are so manipulated. We are so manipulated. And the sad thing about it, it is well educated people that are so good at doing these things, and we all pay the price. You know why we do what we do to our beautiful audience? You know why we do what we do? Because we're trying to wake people up. That this is while we are living it, it is nothing but a game to quite a few people. It is nothing but a game. And until we figure that out, this will continue to happen. But before we continue, folks, please remember we are in what again? What again? What are we in, Howard, again?
Fund drive.
We are in fund drive, which means we have to raise some funds. And what do we have to offer our people who say we need to support these types of programs? What do we have to offer, Jack?
Well, we have Politics Done Right t-shirts.
Yay.
We have books that Egberto has written that are very informative. If you want to read about the Powell memo, is what is it, As I See It, or America, the Utopia? Yeah,
I
it has some
let me just
information.
qualify that. I don't, because this is my show, the Politics Done Right show. I don't think we're approved to talk about my books. You know how they have their things here at KPFT, so I usually refrain from talking about. You know,
Okay,
I,
all right,
I don't
I got
want
it.
management to come and say, self deal and all that good stuff. So.
Well, Egberto, does it come with crayons? I mean, we got to be specific here. Does your book come with crayons? Can I
um,
color it?
oh, I could do that. But anyway,
Well, there.
continue, please, Jack. Tell us what people can get, brother.
Well,
I'm just being silly this morning. Well, Jack reaches over here and
we
gets
have
the
we have
clipboard.
concerts. We have T-shirts like T-shirts for like $100 for the KPFT T-shirts and 180 for two of the Caroline Street and the Lovett Street T-shirts.
No, let's talk about sustainers too. We've really been pushing sustainers this time around, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We will know when we sit down to budget for something how much money is going to come in. And sustaining the KPFT is really the way to go. Because therefore, if you're doing this on a monthly basis, and gosh knows we want you to do that, you can say, okay, well, they're in fund drive, okay, but I'm doing my part. My part was done last month, it'll be done this month. And you can have the good feeling knowing that you're supporting KPFT around the year. 365 days a year and 66 on a leap year, you will know that your contribution is going to sustain KPFT because you are a sustainer. And let's see what else here. And it's easy to do. $5 a month equates to $60 a year, 16 cents a day. You can't even feed a dog on that. They require 63 cents a day, according to the SPCA. $10 a month is 120, 33 cents a day. Get us a coffee, forego your fancy coffee. I was going to say a brand name, but you can forego your fancy coffee for one day and say, well, I'll make some at home and I'll give this to KPFT. Not a bad deal at all. So become a sustainer, and therefore we can count on you and you can count on us. And if we get enough sustainers, folks, we can get rid of one of these fund drives. I'd prefer to get rid of all of them, but we can't do that because we're publicly funded. Volunteer run, publicly funded radio station, and we play the stuff that you like. So whether it's politics done right, whether it's democracy now, whether it's moral high ground with Dean Becker, if you like his show, you will be sustaining that show along with all the rest of them too. So become a sustainer. Get rid of these fund drives because we all hate them. Egberto hates them. I hate them. Jack was muttering under his breath, darn fund drive. So we know nobody likes fund drive, and we know that.
Well, working them is one thing. I used to cheer for y'all when I'd sit at home and just listen. All right, they made the goal. Good deal.
Well, there is much elation around here when we make our goals, and we're going to make our goal this time around because I have faith that the listener will support this radio station as they have done for 54 years. Do you realize on Friday, March 1st, this radio station signed on the airways in 1970? On that very date, and the very first song played was Here Comes the Sun from the Beatles. That's some historic for, and I'm actually going to be on that day too. Jack and I will be taking your request that day. So we have a special day coming up here on March the 1st, 54 years of KPFT. And I'm not even old enough to remember all that. But Jack is.
Oh, Jack
You
Jack is a
lie.
youngster, man. Jack is a youngster, but
You
you
lie
know.
with forked tongue, you bum. All right. We're
But
done
look,
taking enough
folks.
taking up his time. Let's give him back his show.
Well, look, folks, yeah, 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to give over at midnight. We had two people that gave in the midnight hour. That was Mario. Thank you so kindly, Mario, for calling in at 12:08 a.m. with a contribution, and Kathy at 12:53 a.m. I was still up writing this stuff at that time. I must admit I wasn't listening to KPFT at that point, but we need now to get folks to call in for this show or to go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Please be sure to select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting. And do remember, as Howard said, a coffee a month, $5 a month. We would love to have that. You don't miss it, but guess what? It helps us a whole bunch. Not only that, you could say two coffees a month, $10 a month goes a long way to help us reach our goal. If we can get 1,000 people doing 5, 10, 15, $20 a month, eventually we would start diminishing the need for these fund drives. Our T-shirt for Politics Done Right with that KPFT insignia in the O is a $100 contribution. And of course, you can have coffee with Egberto, and that is a contribution of $250. So I ask you so kindly to support the program and to please call in now. Yesterday, it started kind of late. We almost got to our quota yesterday. Could we start early this today? 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Extension number 2, if you want to be on air and talk to me. And I do want to hear from you as well, because this is your show. Today we have two subjects that I'm tying into one, and it's very important. The first one is about Jeff Bezos and Washington, the beautiful state of Washington. But because at that point, well, I'm going to read it for you after I take the first call of the morning, and then we'll expand on it. I think you're going to see where I'm going, how important that subject is. But while we get Harry on the line, please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and give us whatever, $5 a month, $10 a month, the T-shirt, uh, breakfast with Egberto, whichever. Harry, my brother Harry,
¿Cómo,
how are you doing, sir?
cómo estás, hermano? Buenos días, el
Bu-
profesor, educator Alberto Willis. And
¿Cómo
good morning,
estás?
Howard. De nada, you're welcome. And good morning to Howard and Jack. Thank you, Howard, for playing that song, because that song I wanted, like I told you the last few weeks, I wanted to dedicate that to interim manager Sandy Wyman, because he mentioned peace on earth, and that's what we need, peace on earth. I'll talk about guns a little bit. Guns aren't going anywhere. It's just people have to use them responsibly. Unfortunately, when they get in the wrong hands, bad things happen, like what happened in Kansas City. When people are troubled, and we just have to be more secure. Our security has to be better to make sure that innocent people don't get hurt, like Dylan Roof doing what he did. And like I told you on the show, Roberto, I worry about it when I go to my Fondren church, but I'm glad they do have security there. When they do have the security around, I feel safer, but I know that it can happen. Oh, the other thing I did mention yesterday about Malcolm X, it was a Batts on my mom's side, my great grandmother, Emma Batts. A Batts married a Little in Reynolds, Georgia. So I didn't put that information out there. But that is what happened, and married into Malcolm X's family. But like I said, we have to keep KPFT going, because when Democracy Now! Talks about the security, Malcolm X's security team, we got a guy like Khalid Ayad and Walter Bowe. Khalid Ayad was studying to be an electric engineer when J. Edgar Hoover trumped up those charges 5 days before Malcolm X was murdered, because he wouldn't.
He would have protected,
Uh,
yeah, he would have protected Malcolm
that's
X
right.
then.
Because he wouldn't, he was going to protect Malcolm X, because he wouldn't go to work for them. And he and Walter Bowe wouldn't do that. So they trumped up charges up here talking about, and I'd learned about that a few years earlier, that I think it was that Ray Wood, who was an informant, because Amy talked about it some years ago. And then I hear Benjamin Crump, the lawyer, talking about 59 years, and the federal government will not release those dossiers that J. Edgar Hoover had on Bo White and Khalid, what's it,
Yeah, yeah.
Ayad. Yeah, they won't release him, and it's just really sad that his life, because he's 81 years old now. I heard him talking how his life was just taken from him
Yeah.
because he wouldn't help get rid of his friend Malcolm X, and then they're talking about blowing up the Statue of Liberty and other
Uh,
monuments.
yeah,
All that.
it's crazy. But thank you, brother Jack. I mean, Henry Jack, brother Harry, for
Brother
calling in.
Harry.
But we have to go ahead and get some business done here.
And I'm
Get
tracking.
some.
Like I said, I'm tracking down that. I did call the post office, and they told me that
Address.
that I yeah, the address. They said it will be sent back to the sender. What I am going to try to do when I'm going to call the post. They give me another number to call, my local post office number. I'm going to see if I can go to the post office, get it, and then just remail it. Then, otherwise, if not, then they'll mail it back to my post office box, and then
No,
I'll mail that pledge into the right address.
I
But you guys will.
appreciate Harry. I do
That,
appreciate you, sir. Okay, I really do appreciate you, and thank you
I
for
appreciate you.
supporting the station. And we got to go ahead and
Right.
get some busy here, and we're going to get some
That's
Harold
right. Get
Reynolds
on the
talking to
phone.
us. Thank you, brother. Peace, brother Howard. Come on in.
Oh, I was just sitting here thinking about Harry and his pledge, and thank you so much for your pledge, Harry. Got Sandy on the line here. Sandy, can you come in?
I can.
Well, please do.
Okay. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Buenos dias, Sandy. How you doing?
Buenos dias. Oh, well, hey, this is Tuesday and this is all over on Thursday. So I'm doing a little better. I'm looking forward to shutting this whole thing down and hopefully we can declare victory with a full tank, a full bank account on Thursday evening. We're ticking right along. In fact, 782 different contributions have come in, totaling $126,184 on the big board. Plus, late last night, someone plopped one of those large gifts on us. And when we start stirring, we'll verify it. And if that is indeed a valid entry, which I have no doubt it is, that'll actually bring us over to the $127,000 mark. So we're
Yay.
getting close, folks. We need about another $22,000 and change, and we will be at our goal. And good news, we still are looking forward to the sustainer match. And at last count, it looks like we will add somewhere between 150 and 165, 170 sustainers if our crystal ball is accurate, which is really good news for KPFT. Remember, if those of you that heard my last on-air report, and there'll be another one coming up, or read the last report to the board, we needed about 400 more to get to that tipping point. So we took a big bite, or we are taking a big bite this fund drive out of that target. Folks, joining as a sustainer is all things to KPFT right now. If you can give us $5 a month, open up your checkbook and say, it's just going to be open every month, we're going to give you $5. There's no cancellation date. I'll tell you when we're going to cancel it. But right now, everything is good. So you just let that roll. That's a sustainer. Your sustainer match, no matter the size of that match, $5, $10, whatever it is, a month is going to be matched with a $50 bill, which again is something that will add to that total and make it a little easier to hit that overall goal. So consider that $5 or $10 a month sustaining pledge. And if you could do it, get a brick for $25 a month, write your inscription on it, and it'll go down in the beautiful brick garden that we're building out front. We have the first tranche of bricks installed, and there are more on order, and yet there'll be more ordered after this drive. So that patch of our front plaza will be ever expanding with your memorials, your commemorations, literally written in stone. And with every one of those, we will move closer to funding this station without fund drives. Wouldn't that be nice? Or at least a significant portion of the funding will come from sustainers and not from these fund drives. Our number is 713-526-5738. You hit option 1 to donate, or mouse it over to kpft.org and click donate. Remember that if you donate $20 or more on a sustaining basis, you will get the Caroline coffee combo, a pound of Colombian Supremo beans, plus a coffee mug designed by our own Jill Morgenstern and picturing our Caroline Street studios. That comes to you automatically with a $20 or more a month sustaining membership that includes those bricks. And then you pick whatever gift you want. If you just want the coffee in the cup, well, then hit us up for the coffee combo, Caroline coffee combo, $120 pledge, Egberto.
There you go. There you go, folks. 713-526-5738. Extension number 1 to give, extension number 2 to be on air. Folks, it's worthwhile. There are 2 subjects I want to talk about. One is sort of ping-ponging off of what we spoke about yesterday about independent media being in trouble. I just want to tell you 2 sentences about that. We need independent media, especially in these times. Yesterday, all the rant was yet again on Trump. We have a caller, a supporter, a big supporter here. Sometimes he calls me offline and he says, like, Berto, I'm tired of hearing you talking about Trump and everybody is talking about Trump. And I told him the other day, I said, look, I wish I didn't have to. But if the mainstream media is misinforming or putting certain sort of info on Trump out there for the populace to hear, there has to be a counter deprogramming. I mean, they did a survey. And do you know, in as much as President Trump's economy was one of the worst economies compared to all these other presidents in this century and before, that most people are of the belief that his economy was actually a good economy. And, mathematically speaking, that's false. I mean, the numbers are there for everybody to see. But he goes out there every day and talks about how great his economy was, how bad the current economy is. And at the same time, he goes out there and say what he intends to bring. Now, how do you not answer that? But let me tell you the biggest part about that. We have, it's bad when Fox News is the one who decides that we just can't take this anymore. We are okay with ill-informing Americans, but my God, this is a bit too far. You have Fox News now saying that. That should tell you something. And I have a very short piece that I want you to listen to on that. It's not in the newsletter, and that's why I'm going to play it now, because I did it after the newsletter. So, and by the way, the newsletter is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. So I'm going to play that here. It's a short one, and then we'll come right back. Imagine if Fox News had shown just a modicum of journalistic integrity. If they had done what you're going to hear them do here during the 2016 election and during the 2020 election, we wouldn't be looking at the possibility of having this charlatan potentially being president of the United States again. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We'll continue monitoring the president's remarks, and I mean no offense to him, or some of you might want to continue hearing, but I did have to say that even though the former president is entitled to his opinions, he's not entitled to his own set of facts. The market has indeed been going up, but having nothing to do with him and everything to do with this aggressive cut in interest rates, or just a hiking in interest rates and stabilized inflation. And of course, the whole artificial intelligence phenomenon that has benefited NVIDIA and a host of companies that are making money hand over fist. So that, whether you want to give Biden credit for that, has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Furthermore, he mentioned about gas prices out of whack, $6 a gallon. The national average right now is $3.26 cents a gallon. He went on to talk about the 2020 election and how that was rigged This has been adjudicated many, many times, dozens of times. It's been investigated by everyone and his uncle. No fewer than 44 investigations launched, some of them by judges that were picked by Donald Trump himself, that found no evidence of that in the 7 battleground states where most of them were focused. Donald Trump lost each and every one of those states. And no facts or no history that he mentions on the stump right now will change that.
It is funny because Neil Cavuto, the first thing he does is give a quasi apology to Donald Trump. I don't mean any offense, Donald, but everything that you said is a lie. And let me explain what all the lies are. No, gasoline is not $6 or something cents a gallon. No, the market isn't going up because of you. No, the Biden economy is really doing just fine. I mean, and he goes point after point to point out that Donald Trump is nothing more than a fraud, a blowhard, and just talking. Now, in effect, they're saying you can't believe the word of this person who purportedly wants to be president of the United States. So why in the you know what are they even giving him the time on the network? Their network has become the conduit. And let's not just look at Donald Trump. I mean, at Fox News, because every network has used Donald Trump to make a lot of money because they know the people look at it as a big, big sideshow. We need to get away from sensationalism. We need to get away from all this junk that is sort of just entertainment and realize we really have a country with problems, and having a charlatan like former President Trump, number 45, having a charlatan is a clear and present danger to all of us. I repeat, having him even participating in an election is a clear and present danger. We hope that Americans, from the time he goes to court, realizes that he's nothing but a fraud and act accordingly. Yes, and act accordingly. And I'm listening to this for the second time, and there's something that I missed. I missed something, and it kind of tells you where even Fox News is. Let's say with Biden, etc. They wanted to protect themselves against Trump right there. Trump is lying, and we're coming out and telling you the truth. But when it was time to say, no, Trump didn't have anything for the economy being successful, then they wanted to somehow still, and this is a little economic lesson here that I want everybody to understand here, because I just realized it looking at this for the second time. Then Cavuto says, it is not Biden who fixed the economy. No, he didn't say it that way. He said, the economy was fixed by the Federal Reserve Chair, Powell, who raised interest rates. All right. Now, Neil Cavuto is a business guy at Fox. He knows better. He knows that while raising interest rates can cause the corporatocracy to tame inflation, I don't call it inflation anymore. I call it the corporate greed index or the corporate greed rate. That's what Powell did. Powell slowed down what the Biden economy would have otherwise been. So the claim that the one who fixed the economy was the person who slowed it down by penalizing the American citizens with higher interest rates so that the corporations would drop their prices or stop raising their prices. That's a big, big, big no. That's a big lie himself given here by El Señor Neil Cavuto. So he attacks Trump for lying, but at the same time he just couldn't come down and say, but the policies instituted by Biden worked. And just to remind all of you, because I don't want, when you hear the news tomorrow and the day after, for you not to be confused. What Biden did for the economy was what progressives have been begging, both Democrats and Republicans to do for a long time. The reason Biden was successful in doing it is because given the pandemic and we were in we were in a system that none of us understood, the only thing we could do is what he did, and this is something progressives have been pushing all along, and that is inflate the economy because the economy as it is right now favors a particular group, inflate the economy, and that's what the pandemic gave Biden the ability to do. Spend out the slack in the economy. And what that meant is that they used two principles, and you can look this up on your own later on, but they use Keynesian economics and modern monetary theory. In the modern monetary theory portion, it's go ahead and invest in the slack in the economy, meaning we could print money up to a certain amount without creating inflation. That's what Biden did. And Keynesian says when private sector cannot spend, government must to keep the economy flowing. The portion that we got from higher interest rates, the business sector lied to you. The inflation didn't come because we had a supply chain problem, we had a Russian problem with the war. None of that was true. If you doubt it, look at the numbers as far as how much petroleum there is slack on the market. Let's all be honest. Let's all be honest. So we're coming to pitch in a minute, but people want to hear a few things as well, but we will pitch in a minute. So it's very, very important that we get this, and that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we're pitching to get you to continue to support us so that we don't have a confused citizenry. Because, folks, a lot of this they're not going to tell you. They just let us be dumb. They just let us think things are otherwise. So, what do we have here? 713-526-5738. I'm being urged. We've got to bring the funds into the station or we're going to kick you off the air. I'm serious.
That's
now.
right. We got the boot ready.
They got the boot to kick me
That's
off the
right.
air if we don't make our quota, and we are at a big zero. So I ask you,
since it's rodeo time, it's a big cowboy boot.
Is that what you guys going to use to kick me out of here? My God.
Well, we're going to let our interim general manager talk about that.
All right, so general manager, come on in, my brother.
I don't want to stub my toe kicking anything. Not this morning. Come on. Hey, I want to just acknowledge Kathy and Mario, who chimed in at 12:53 this morning and at 12:08 a.m. this morning. So we're not at zero for the day. In fact, we have over $100 thanks to those two pledges. We're looking for a modest $400 on this third to last day. We're done Thursday, so we've got tomorrow and Thursday to accomplish our goal along with today. And we'd like to raise at least $400 on Politics Done Right this morning. So far, we have nothing to show, as Egberto said. We're not going to kick Egberto out. No, we're not going to do that because he's up at every morning and on the air on time and taking your calls and has an intelligent, well-prepared presentation every morning. Hey, this doesn't come for free. This takes a lot of effort. That transmitter that broadcasts it, it doesn't come for free. It's a hungry kitty. And so we go 4 times a year where we gather the funds to feed the electric company and all the other creditors that surround us as we broadcast at the rate of $52,000 a month. And we pay each and every bill. We are great stewards of listener money. We've got one paid employee, that would be Senior Howard, and everybody else is pretty much a volunteer at Pacifica, at KPFT anyway. So, folks, acknowledge all this and understand that if you value the programming, maybe not Politics Done Right, maybe you like Wide Open, a Great Wide Open a little later this afternoon. And oh, by the way, we have another one of those manager specials like we did on Howlin' the Blues is Sunday. So tune in today at 3 o'clock and delight your ears. But I'm getting off track here. Folks, we need $400. Nobody's donated yet. Be the first this morning to acknowledge Egberto's efforts, this fine program, this open discussion. And you're right, the news cycle's dominated by one man, and that's by his design only, his team's design, but that's all going on in the universe. And oh, by the way, you are correct again. A lot of what is coming out of that man's mouth is a very well documented string of lies, and nothing has changed despite the lawsuits, despite being convicted of being a sexual predator, the judge said rapist, despite being convicted as a fraud in the state of New York. I don't quite get it. If you want to listen to something like that, go for it. That's all you. I respect your opinion, but we need better facts and truth, and that's KPFT. We need this discussion that we can hold here. That's KPFT. We need to keep this station and pass it forward. And I implore you, break the ice on this program this morning. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org and hit donate. Egberto, what do we got to say? What do we got to do?
Yeah, we really need your calls now, guys. We need your support right now. And yes, I'm at zero right now. And yesterday, for a minute, I was scared that I was going to remain at zero. And right at the end, a whole bunch of calls came in. We didn't completely recover, but we can, and you can make us recover right now. Have you never given? Why don't you give this time? Whatever you can, $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month. I mean, you don't feel that, but we do. If we get several hundred people given these sustainers that we're trying to build right now, $5 a month. Think about it. If you've never given to the station before and you want to tiptoe in, but because you like what you're hearing here, because you feel like we're doing a service that really helps out the community at large, the country at large, you can do your part. $5 a month. That's a coffee a month. You won't miss that. How many of us throw away $5, $10 a month? Throw it away on Politics Done Right, or rather on KPFT via Politics Done Right. Again, it goes a long way for us. 713-526-5738. I want to be able to thank you on air. We're going to 7:20 today, so you have time, and if you still hear the show as you call in now, you will not regret it at all. And you know what? I do this show as a volunteer, but guess what else I am? I am a sustainer. And I have been a sustainer for decades. Even before I had a show, I gave to the station because there was always something special about being a participant in the airwaves for us all. So I made sure to support it. And you hear others in the office, you hear Howard talk about being a supporter as well. We've always supported this station. And again, like I said, we do it on a volunteer basis, and at the same time, we know that we enter the pot as well. So I ask you, I'm not asking you to do anything that I am not doing, that Howard's not doing, that we are not doing. 713-526-5738. Extension number 1 to give. I'm going to stop pitching for a little bit to talk to Bard, and then I'll be back. Then we'll go back to Johnny, and then we'll be back. But we need you to call so I can say thank you, and so that you can help us get to the at least I would love to get $1,000 this morning. $250, Coffee with Egberto. And I assure you, you're going to have a good time. I'll drive any part of the Houston metropolitan area to have coffee with you. 713-526-5738. Bard, come on in. How are you doing this morning, sir? Brother Bard, you're on.
I just had a question. If the Federal Reserve can print all of the money that they want, as they have been doing for the past 5 years, they printed more money in history with nothing to back it up, then why do we, that's me, you, all of your listeners, why are we paying such high taxes? Why are we paying taxes at all?
hmm I mean, actually, good point, right? I mean, one of the things, Bart, that I hate is how we don't teach economics in high school, in middle school. It doesn't quite work that way. First of all, there's nothing about printing money. We don't print money, right? It's all a ledger done behind the scenes at the reserve and with a computer system. But here's what happens. Money is nothing more than the manifestation of worth and how and the exchange of trade to hold, for a temporary hold of a service or the value of a product. So if I have a dollar, rather, if I sell corn, and forgive me for explaining it this way, but I need to get a start. If you have corn to sell, I have beef to sell, and somebody else have iron to sell. I want iron. I need, but the person who want iron doesn't want my beef. There would have been trade. He doesn't want my beef. That person wants, but they want corn. Money is the abstracting feature that allows us to get the things that we want that we don't have or that we don't produce. So that's what money is. Now, the value that money has is the faith that anybody has in it. You remember when they used to talk about money being backed by gold? When Nixon took us off of gold, Nixon was a very, very intelligent person to actually see why that was a smart thing. Gold doesn't really have any value inherently, right? If we are in a system where everybody is starving and you have a piece of gold, there is nothing that you can do with that piece of gold. All right. So money is only whatever you believe it is worth, the faith that you have in it. And everybody still has faith in the United States of America. And that's what our money is. Now, inflation comes into fold if there is too much of that money chasing things that are not there. And that at that point, people start to fight about, well, I want that product. There's a scarce product. I want that cake. Well, I'll pay you more for that cake. No, I'll pay you even more. That's inflation, right? Whenever you have too much money chasing too little services and product, that's the only time you have a problem. It's not about debt. That all of that is a fallacy that they give us. The country's money supply works nothing like your credit card. They're completely different. And when we hear a politician saying, I am going to treat America like a business, or I'm going to make sure that we pay our bills, it's the biggest bunch of hooey that we tell a population who doesn't understand the real economics. And you know who know about that? All the people in power. That's why when Republicans are in power, like Cheney went and said deficit doesn't matter. And Cheney was absolutely right. What matters is how much money you have chasing goods. That's the only the deficit is nothing more than an accounting thing in the system, but we can go there later. I need to pitch real quick before I get to Johnny. Folks, please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. I am still at a donut, meaning I'm still at zero, and I have to raise $400.
No,
Yes. Come on in,
no,
Howard. Help me, Howard.
you,
Help me, Howard.
you can't be at a donut. That's just not right because folks
Yes.
are calling in, folks are listening, and they need to support this program. Or otherwise, okay, it's going to have to be the worm song.
Let me,
So if you don't
yes.
support this station, you gotta listen to the worm song. We'll pull it out. It's a secret weapon.
All right. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Okay, well, I'm giving folks a chance to donate because the worm
713.
song is pretty excruciating.
Yes. Folks, please give us a call. 713-526-5738. Look, I promise you that what we give you here, my friends, is not only the truth, but we feed the mind. I make sure to feed my mind and I make sure to share the food that I'm ingesting. And I think it's a good job for us to do what we do. I think it's a patriotic thing what we're all doing here. because whereas many depend on us being not very smart, I am saying let's be smart, and I'm tossing it to Brother Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. You know, one way to make the goal is for someone out there, some lucky person out there who has $400 to donate to KPFT. You'll walk away with a pair of tickets to the Big as Texas Music Festival. That's in the Montgomery County Fairgrounds, May 10th to 12th. That's you and a friend, a guest, a companion. May 10th to 12th, the 3-day festival. You're getting a pair of 3-day passes for your $400. We're talking Los Lobos. We're talking Dierks Bentley. We're talking Billy Strings. We're talking the country Woodstock, if there ever was one, Dwight Yoakam. 3 days of a packed lineup, Big as Texas Music Festival. If you go to the website and you look, what we're asking for that pair of tickets is less than what you would pay on the website, which is phenomenal in and of itself. It's a great way to support KPFT. We have 1 pair left. They will be gone by Thursday. I am almost certain of that. Ruthie Foster is coming to the Charles Bender Performing Arts Center. We have 2 pair of tickets remaining for Ruthie Foster. A couple of them are already gone. I'm looking through the list, and you know, it's that time of drive that if you want tickets, well, there are a few left. So if you want them, act on it. Daryl Scott at the Heights Theater, April 4th. We have 2 pair remaining, general admission. Great show. Heights Theater, great place to see a show. We've got tickets for Blackberry Smoke still on the table. So we have some good tickets left, but we're asking you to call and donate some money to KPFT. If you need a prize from the prize closet, well, open up that closet and pick your prize. T-shirt, coffee, concert tickets. But the biggest thing is to support community radio. We rely on you for the money it takes to pay all the bills and keep this signal, this 100,000-watt torch of freedom running strong. And we need you to power that. And this is the time to do it. Please, 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org, the final Tuesday of our winter thankathon, the final Tuesday. 2 more days, it's all over. If you have not yet given, please step forward. Number 1, break the ice on this show. We do have a donut still at 6:52.
Actually, Sandy, Liz, a new member, Liz, just became a $10 a month sustainer. So, Liz, thank you so kindly. And with that $10 a month sustainer, we get another $50 from a kind donor. So, we are on the roll. Now, we just need about 4 more like that to help cover my shortcomings from the day before as well. So, either come in at $5 a month or $10 a month. It will really make a difference. 713 526. Yes. And you know what, folks? Like I tell folks, I don't,
5738.
yeah, I don't, oh, I didn't finish. 713 526 5738. You confuse me. You confuse me, IGM. You confuse. Hey, wait, when did I ever start saying IGM? I say GM. You say IGM. I say GM. 713
IGM.
526 5738, extension number 1. And I tell you what, let's give Johnny a quick 2 minutes. The mayor of politics done right, and then we come back to
Before you
pitching.
do that,
Yes.
before you do that, just really quick, Liz, your name goes in the hat with all the other sustainers signing up this drive. And we figure there's going to be between, somewhere around 160, 175, depending on what happens the next couple days. Your name is going in the hat. We're going to pick one name out of that hat, and that name will get the final pair of tickets to go see Lyle Lovett and Jesse Dayton at the listening room of all listening rooms, Anderson Fair, on April 20. It's a special KPFT fundraiser that's sold out in an hour and a half. Sustainers, you'll have one shot at that last pair of tickets. So it's the one way to get them, but it's a great way to support KPFT. So Liz, thank you. Take it, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Liz. And folks, we're going until about 7:20 today, but don't wait until 7:20. Please give us a call right now, 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Let's get this thing going. Let's go to the mayor of Politics Done Right, who is the one and only Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. Brother Johnny, you're on.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hear you fine. So you're not going to be surprised when I tell you that I have an alternate view of the fundraisers, the marathons. But first, I've got to tell you, you put this image in my head of a mama bird regurgitating food into the mouths of the baby birds when you said you don't mind share. You don't mind that you would just. Oh God.
Oh Lord.
Up with a different word image.
Oh boy. Johnny.
Word. So, here's my view of marathons. I have a more favorable, romantic, pleasant view of the fundraisers of decades past because I'm a listener from the late 1970s on forward. So we had people like Gene Palmquist and Dwayne Bradley who were excellent, inspired pitchers. And Sandy is fast becoming one as well. He's right up there. He's a close second to Dwayne and Gene Palmquist. But programmers like Hitachi Abdulaziz and Amy Goodman, we had a number of gifted programmers who could pitch, who could inspire people, who knew the history of KPFT, like Dwayne does. Dwayne is a walking encyclopedia, historic encyclopedia of history. And he also was gifted in coming up with names like Petro Metro and a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Yes.
So there's a whole stuff involved in the marathons. As a listener, I saw the marathon as a long-term fun race. You listened for hours and hours just to see if your program would make it, how well your programmer, one of your favorite programmers, would pitch. That told you how well he or she is informed about Pacific radio, the history, as well as how good they are at pitching. And then you got to strategically decide when you would call in your phone pledge to see what kind of a deal you could get on shirts and caps and such. Because sometimes when you all got desperate, you would make deals. And that's the fun part too. Not to mention to go down to the Lovett studio, Lovett, which is another bohemian aspect which we all love, a place that had a great history of hippiness to it. You go in there, you signed up in advance, you showed up. If you weren't trained, they would train you, and then you would take calls from your fellow listeners. And there was a whole feeling of camaraderie and community. And the local retailers would donate food and beverage. You also had the opportunity to bring in from your own. I made lasagna one time, a tray of lasagna and a tray of baked eggplant. Another time I brought in trays of cookies. I made these oatmeal raisin cookies. So there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. In addition to cleaning up the mess you make when you're done and taking out the trash, it's a community effort. It's a village.
Yes.
It's a village. That's
Man,
what community radio
Johnny,
is.
I love that you brought all of that up because it also brought back memories of the fun drives that we used to have all in the studio and the green room and the things that we did out there. Things kind of changed after COVID, and we're still readapting. And I'm glad that you're right about Dwayne. Dwayne is a historical pitcher for KPFT, and I think Sandy is picking up where he left off. Now, when it comes to the host pitching, I will cop to being the lousiest pitcher there is on the planet. That's why I think Sandy decided to say, you know what? Let me come and give him a hand, and Howard give me a hand. I don't. But anyway, thank you, Johnny, for all you do, and thank you for all that you have been for KPFT and Politics Done Right, brother. That's why you are the mayor of the program, brother. You have a good one, okay?
We're a village, including Bart, who I will say in his defense, his sentiments are based in part on that because we all share this. When we pay taxes, we don't really mind paying taxes. We just don't want to pay more than we can afford, and we want to know that the people that are in the government are wise stewards.
And we don't want to be abused, Johnny. And that's why, when Bart and these guys call in, I'm listening to what they have to say because everybody, we all have a stake in this game. We all have a stake. I want to give a humongous thank you to another sustainer in Willard. Willard, thank you so kindly for sustaining as well. I'm going to go to Augie in a minute, but I'm going to pass it back to somebody that Johnny just gave some kudos to on pitching. Right back to Sandy. Come on in, Sandy.
Thank you. I guess I could say Petro Metro. Yeah, we owe a big thanks to Dwayne and really all the other people that have led us to this point this morning. Think about it. We'll be 54 years old on Friday, Egberto. 54
Yeah.
years of commercial-free radio, 54 years of people doing what we're doing this morning, gathering the funds necessary to make it to the next milestone. That would be May. That's what we're doing here, okay? And if it weren't for all the people, Dwayne included, Larry Winters was the IGM for a little while. We can go back and talk about Garland Ganter, Gene Palmquist, Ray Hill. So many people in our history have gotten us to this point and have allowed free speech radio to continue. Truly, truly the act of passing it forward. Folks, we're asking you today to help pass it forward to the next generation. Willard, thank you so much. And Liz, thank you so much. Both joined as sustainers. So both of those pledges will be matched with a $50 bill. Now, folks, it's your turn. If you've never given and you're listening to the sounds of our voices, you listen to this station, and what we see in the data is that when we obtain listeners, Egberto, they stick around. They don't go anywhere. They keep the damn thing on all day. Okay. I mean, their kids are yelling at them, hey, mom, hey, dad, turn that down. Reversed. Hey, folks, we're here because of the unbroken chain. We're here because of the generosity of thousands and thousands and thousands of Houstonians and well beyond. Actually, at this point, all over the world, we've gotten pledges so far from Harrison, New Jersey, Tomball, Houston, and the last one that came in was from Gardenia, California. So that was Willard. Thanks for listening out on the West Coast. Thanks for listening up in New Jersey. Thanks for listening all around Houston. Thanks for your support. Come on, it's a thankathon. Let us thank you. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Those pledges get us so tantalizingly close to the goal. But in the last 3 days, we don't talk goal. We talk the ultimate goal, which is $150,000. If I have everything computed right, we've crossed 127, on our way to 128. Come on, we can do this. We don't have that much further to go in this marathon for those of you that run or even cycle or do anything where it's a swim. You're swimming, you're bicycling, you're running for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is that the length it takes to accomplish the race, the track, you're doing that. And when you look up and you only got those last 3 miles, that's it. You get inspired and you get the strength to make it to the finish line. And that's what we're doing here in these last, what amounts to 60 hours of the drive, Egberto.
Yep, and look, thank you, Sandy. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And don't forget, folks, nobody picked up today on the have coffee with Egberto. Remember, I'll drive any part of Harris County or the surrounding areas, the Houston metropolitan area, and have coffee. And I guarantee you, we have a good time, a good chat, that stuff. I have 2 of them that I get. I'm doing one this week. I'm going out with somebody who did one this week, and the week after, I'm going out with somebody else again. I don't know them, but we're going to have some fun. We are going to drink some coffee and have some fun. This is KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Thank you, Howard. I forgot the ID, but we're there. We're there. We're there. We're there at the top of the hour. And I tell you what, I tell you, while I'm speaking to Augie, it would be great if somebody called in for either $5 sustainer, $10 sustainer, $20 sustainer, or coffee with Egberto, $250, or the t-shirt at $100. Hey, we can do this, guys. We can do it. Let's go to Augie, another great supporter of Politics Done Right and a great supporter of KPFT as a whole. Good morning, Augie. How are you doing?
Good morning. Doing okay. About the guy that says about printing money, countries have done that before, but people forget history. Germany did it in the 1930s, and that made their money worthless. It took a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread, and that's
Yes,
what happened when you started printing money. It happened in South America in a couple of countries. They started printing money and made their money worthless. But
Argentina.
uh, yeah, how come you're not worried about people who are not paying taxes? The billionaires. If the billionaires were paying taxes, then that would take a burden off of us. If you're so worried about paying taxes yourself, worry about the ones who aren't. And the ones who aren't are the ones that have all this money. Um, and it's all these Republicans. And at one time, the government used to fund KPFT and public radio and public TV at one time, and they took it away. It'd be great if we had that federal money again to help KPFT and PBS and everybody else and the little community stations around the country. I went on a climate change march in New York City one time and caught the train on the West Coast. And on the West Coast, there was a bunch of folks that were there. And there was a guy with the community station in Washington State, and they were having trouble just like KPFT raising money, but it was just a single station out in the country. And they also got federal funding too at one time, but then the Republicans cut that off. And that's how the Republicans are. And they're talking about Joe McCarthy attacking the communists. Well, why did he attack the communists? Well, it was because the Democratic Party is the party of inclusion. It includes everybody who wants to be part of it, the communists, the socialists, the union members, everybody. Republicans are not inclusive. They're exclusive. It's the rich guys that are in it. They don't allow the socialists, the union members, the guys here into their party. And at one time, Texas and the whole South used to be Democratic for 100 years. Why did it turn Republican? It's because in the 60s, JFK and LBJ decided to desegregate the South, well, really the country. And we had those conservatives in the Democratic Party too, along with the socialists and the communists and the union members. And the conservatives were called Blue Dog Democrats. The Blue Dog Democrats left the party when the Democrats started to desegregate the country. And then they were called Dixiecrats. And then they became Republicans. And Texas became Republican, and so did the whole South. And those Dixiecrats, the Blue Dog Democrats, took over the Republican Party. And that was a good name for them, the Blue Dogs, because that's all they are. There's a bunch of barking dogs, and people listen to them. If
All
they
right,
don't have
Augie.
money,
Thank you for the history lesson, my dear brother Augie. We have to get a little bit more pitch in before we close because we have to raise that cash. But thank you very much for that, Augie. Augie, folks, a great supporter. Why don't you be like Augie and say, I am going to support KPFT as well? Hey, thank you, Augie. I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right, let me throw it to the studio.
Hey, Egberto, the other day, one of your callers called in, and it was such a good call. She made such a good point. I just want to play this for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes,
I just
sir.
want to say I'm calling to encourage everybody to give because I'm going to give a little bit what I can and encourage everybody else to do that. And I also want to say because I appreciate all of you there at the station because you give us a platform to respectfully disagree. And like any nonprofit, that's a part of capitalism. You know, we depend on everybody to give their little dollars or the big dollars, which will be great. And so I'm just calling everybody to do that. And so thank you, too, for the economics that you teach us that's put in a very understandable way in everything that you all do. So I'll give my dollars. I just wanted to encourage everybody else to do the same thing.
That was Lynette. Lynette has she has children that she's got to get up in the morning, get them off to school, then go to work, but has the time to call in for us and has the time to advocate for us. So I just thought you might want to know about that. I kept that call because it's just so touching and it says everything that needs to be said.
I melted when I heard that from Lynette. I just, I mean, I don't think people understand how much it means when the audience out there chimes in, when that audience chimes in. And not only that, but let you know, let me tell you something, Howard. that donation came in at there's a donation that came in at 12:53 on a earlier show, midnight show. And, I'm sitting down there and I'm like, damn, I was up working on this program then, right? And, I was up until 1:30 this morning, working on this program, got 3.5 hours sleep. I'm tired. But you would not imagine when I hear Johnny and Augie and Brad and everybody else, I am energized. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. Um,
Brian,
it is, go ahead.
I say, don't forget Brian. Brian's one of
Brian.
our
I
callers.
love Brian.
He claims himself as to be the voice of opposition, and he is. But he also donates to this radio station just to keep that flow going. That is truly, truly amazing and shows a lot of love. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, look, the thing about it is this, right? There is nothing wrong with opposition. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. If I didn't speak to all the people I disagreed with, I would have nobody to speak to. I enjoy. I mean, and anybody who knows me and knows from the coffee party days or all these other Move to Amend days, these different organizations that we served in, know that it's we've been taught to think disagreement is an issue or a problem. Disagreement is just a part of life, and we come and we Brian. Look, I can say Brian calls in here sometimes and says something, and all I can say to Brian is, "Oops, you're right." And we have to get back there. And that's a part of what this show is about. So folks, please donate. Please contribute right now. 713-526-5738. Listen to Lynette. Lynette touched my heart when she called. I think it was yesterday. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Look, $5 a month. $5 a month. You don't miss it. It's a coffee a month. But it means everything to us. $10 a month. You don't miss it. Means everything to us. Think about how much of that you throw away. Think about how much you give to the folks that are not nourishing your mind or don't have respect for your mind. Over here, I can tell you, in my show, I respect every single caller, every single person. I also realize where our inputs and outputs come from, and understanding that we can communicate. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please call, become a member. Have you ever contributed? If you've never, but you like the show, please make it be today. You've contributed before, but you haven't done it in a long time. Please make it be today. You're always contributing. Well, continue. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and I'm gonna pass it to somebody who pitches a lot better than I do, Senor Sandy.
Well, thank you, Egberto. I take pride in controlling that curveball. Well, hey, folks, we're running out of time here. We have about 7 minutes left. We are at this point a scant $40 shy of the goal that we set, the $400 goal. Your pledge could make that disappear, that gap disappear. In fact, if everybody just jumps in and does $40 that's listening, this drive is over. That's the power that we have as a community. When we all get together and do our part, whatever that is you decide. I mean, Willard did a nice sustainer, as Liz did, and Mario in New Jersey, Marlo would call that a pity pledge, I think, but nonetheless, those small pledges add up at the end of the drive. And when the goal is made, that's an essential contribution. It doesn't matter. When you do your part, we all get there together. 713-526-5738, option 1. A cup of coffee is $5 at Starbucks. That's right. A medium black coffee, an Americana Grande. Yeah, there we go. That when you get done and you want to tip the barista, they hand you back $1.03 or 85 cents. You throw it in the tip jar and your $5 bill is consumed. One coffee a month. You'll keep us awake a little bit more. It'll keep us primed and ready to go so that when we hit the airwaves, we know we're there. One cup of coffee, $5 a month. Of course, Lola Savannah supplies our coffee at the studio, and you can drink like a DJ. You can get that coffee and a coffee mug for a $120 pledge. That's a Caroline coffee combo. When you pledge, ask for that. And if you do $20 more or a month on a sustainer, and I think Willard qualifies for that, Willard is going to receive the coffee combo regardless, and whatever other gift that Willard wanted to take. And in this case, Willard took nada. He said, KPFT, you keep it. Well, as a thank you, I hope you don't mind, Willard. You're going to get some coffee in a coffee cup. Liz, she took a t-shirt, a 419 Love It t-shirt. This is a line drawing that was put together by Lars Hendrington, formerly of Tennyson's Tape Deck. Lars has moved away and had to drop his program as a result, but he made a beautiful line drawing of our old studio, 419 Love It, which is no longer there. You can get that t-shirt as a commemorance for your gift of $100. There's one of the Caroline studio, same thing, $100. If you want them both, say you got 2 job interviews back to back, and you're going to need a clean KPFT t-shirt for each interview, well, you can get them both for $180. You look good in that interview, and you'll likely get the job as you're dressing for success. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. It's really a very serious moment for KPFT in collecting these funds to continue paying all of its bills. I want to send a big thanks out to those 784 people that have made this total possible right now. You've done your part. Now it's your turn. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Egberto, we got about 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to head to democracy.
Absolutely, folks.
Yeah. Thank
Absolutely,
you
folks.
Thank
713-526-5738. It is important to hear from you. We only have about 3 more minutes to go. I think that's what I just got. So folks, give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate. Again, $5 a month, coffee, $10 a month, 2 coffees, get our t-shirt at $100, or coffee with Egberto, $250. I know there are more people out there. I think we've done either 2 or 3 so far this cycle. I know there are more out there, and I'm willing to drive out there, guys, and sit down and talk. And I tell you what, even though I won't say any names or anything like that, anybody who goes out to breakfast with me, I'll throw in a copy of my latest book, and I won't name any name. I don't want my GM coming and say, hey, you can't be doing that on here. But I'm just telling you, I'll go ahead and bring out one for you as well. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Okay, I'm going to throw it back to Sandy to close out, and then I'll close it out when he's done. Sandy, Howard, and Jack.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. And I sure appreciate Jack and Howard being present and manning the board every morning. Man, it's a team, and we couldn't do it without everybody. So thanks. And we can't do it without you either. Make that pledge. 713-526-5738. Howard, Jack?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I could not do this show without Jack. Jack is, he's the man. So what you got for us, Jack?
Well, I get up in the morning at 4, and I leave about 4:30, and I drive about 35 miles into the studio, and I get here a little after 5, where I take care of some things and start some programs. So donate and make my effort worthwhile for me. Donate and make my effort worthwhile to KPFT 90.1.
Thank you, Jack. Folks, you just heard Jack, an unpaid volunteer that comes in here 5 days a week. He starts at Politics Done Right, and he finishes with You Talk and a couple others. I mean, that is dedication. That is volunteerism. That is putting his soul where he is. Sandy comes in here. Well, Sandy comes in. I don't know. Sandy's here all the damn time, doing back and forth, volunteering. We have Howard. Howard technical capabilities is valued all over, but he decided to give it to us here at KPFT. That is the kind of people we're talking about. So we ask you to call 713-526-5738. A lot of our news stuff that we didn't cover is in the newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. Thank you all. Love you all. Callers, everyone else, my name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
And we now join Democracy Now! In progress on KPFT Houston.
He doesn't understand it. Of course, God bless you don't have the war on your territory.
The debate over U.S. funding for